I thought I'd moved into just another quiet suburban neighborhood. Until I met Karen. She's the kind of woman who thinks she runs the whole block with fake HOA rules and her own wannabe police, but she had no idea who she was messing with. I'm an FBI agent, and I don't take threats lightly. One morning, there was a furious pounding at my door, two people claiming to be HOA police. Nothing about them was real. It was all Karen's setup, and I hadn't even realized how far this game would go, threatening my career, my neighbors, and even my safety. Will I survive her scheme? Or has she already taken control? This is a story of power, deception, and the fight for the truth. And you won't want to miss a second of it. It was a calm, golden afternoon in Maple Creek, a quiet suburban neighborhood where everything usually stayed in its place except for Sarah Thompson. Jason Miller, a 42-year-old veteran who prided himself on his neat front lawn, sat on his porch with a cup of coffee. He had planted every blade of grass himself last spring, laid out daisies by hand, and made sure the yard looked like something out of a home and garden magazine. But for the past month, his neighbor, Sarah, had been cutting across his property like it was her personal walkway. At first, he tried to shrug it off. Maybe she's in a hurry, it's just grass. But every day at 3:15 p.m. sharp, like clockwork, there she was, yoga pants, earbuds in, scrolling her phone, her little white dog trotting behind. Each time her sneakers pressed down the soft green grass he had worked so hard to grow. One afternoon, he finally spoke up. "Hey, Sarah, would you mind using the sidewalk instead?" I just receded this part. Without even removing her earbuds, she glanced his way and said, "Oh, come on, Jason. It's just a yard. Relax." She kept walking. Jason stood there, jaw tight, coffee growing cold in his hand. The next day, he placed a neat little sign, "Please keep off the grass." By evening, the sign was gone, tossed in his trash bin like it had no business existing. Then he put up a small rope barrier. She stepped over it without missing a beat. Frustrated, he contacted the homeowners association, attached pictures, wrote a polite but firm email. Their response: "We recommend resolving this matter in a neighborly way." Neighborly way, right? Each night, Jason found himself lying awake, scrolling through DIY forums, typing things like how to stop neighbors from walking across your lawn or legal ways to keep someone off your property. He tried motion-activated sprinklers. One went off, sprayed her and her dog, and a day later, he got a warning from the HOA for unnecessary water use. It was starting to feel like the whole system was on her side. Sarah kept doing her little shortcut, eyes glued to her phone, that same dismissive shrug on her face as if his property meant nothing. This wasn't about grass anymore. This was about respect. That night, Jason sat at his kitchen table, looking out over the moonlit lawn. "Enough is enough," he muttered. If Sarah wanted a shortcut, she was about to find out what a dead end looked like. 2 days after Jason made up his mind, the air in Maple Creek felt heavier, thicker, like the calm before a storm. He woke up early, brewed his coffee, and stared out the window at that same patch of grass. The rope was gone. The sign was gone. The HOA had washed their hands of it. But Jason wasn't the type to just fold. He had a plan, but it wasn't one of those dramatic, over-the-top movie plans. No, this was a quiet, smart kind of revenge. Something that would make a point without making him the villain. That afternoon, just before Sarah's usual stroll, Jason sprinkled a harmless, non-toxic soil marker across the shortcut path, a type of landscaping powder that leaves bright blue footprints on anything that steps through it. It wouldn't hurt her or the dog, but it would make a statement. Sure enough, 3:15 rolled around. Sarah appeared, yoga pants, sunglasses, phone in hand. Her dog yipped happily at her heels. Jason sat on the porch, pretending to read the paper. She stepped right through. 1 step, 2, 3. By the time she reached her own driveway, both her sneakers were glowing a deep Smurf-like blue, and so were the paw prints of her little dog. She turned, jaw dropping. "What the Jason? Did you do this?" Jason lowered the paper, gave her the calmest smile he'd worn in weeks. "Not at all. That's just a property protection treatment. Marks the path of anyone trespassing." Her face flushed red. "You can't just, this is harassment." she snapped. Jason didn't raise his voice, didn't move from the porch. No, Sarah, harassment is ignoring your neighbor's boundaries for a month straight after being politely asked not to. He gestured at the footprints. This is called proof. For the first time since this little war began, she didn't have a snappy comeback. She just stood there, holding her dog, looking down at the evidence stamped across her sneakers like a guilty trail. Later that evening, Jason sent the HOA one final email, picture attached, a neat line of bright blue footprints cutting straight across his yard. He didn't threaten, he didn't rant, he simply wrote, "Here is the ongoing issue documented. I hope this clears up any doubts," and it did. The next day, the HOA sent Sarah a formal notice reminding her that repeated trespassing could lead to fines and legal action. For once, the system wasn't shrugging him off. After that, she stopped. No more shortcuts, no more earbuds and excuses. She walked the sidewalk like everyone else. Jason didn't gloat, he didn't brag. But every morning when he watered the daisies, he felt that quiet, hard-earned peace again. Sometimes standing your ground isn't about yelling louder. It's about being smarter, calmer, and letting the truth leave its own footprints. The air in Willow Creek had changed. What used to be a quiet suburb now felt like a stage set for some low-budget conspiracy thriller. Every porch light seemed to watch me. Every drawn curtain whispered behind my back. My reputation in the bureau was slipping, my neighbors were turning against me, and Karen was just getting started. That evening, I sat in the dark living room, blinds drawn, staring at the fake HOA notice still lying on my kitchen table. The official seal looked legit enough to fool anyone at a glance, but the wording was sloppy, aggressive, desperate even. It wasn't about keeping the neighborhood safe or tidy, this was extortion, plain and simple. Alvarez's voice echoed in my head. "I need statements from other neighbors who will back you up, otherwise it's your word against theirs." Easy for him to say, everyone here was too scared to stand up. Karen had made sure of that. The next morning, I decided to flip the script. Instead of hiding, I was going to watch them. I set up a small dash cam in my front window, angled at the street, and left it recording. Hours passed, kids rode their bikes, sprinklers hissed across manicured lawns, life pretended to be normal. Then, around 2:40 p.m., the same unmarked car rolled by, the one Alvarez traced to that private security company with no contract. It didn't stop this time, just slowed, lingered, then kept going. 15 minutes later, Karen strolled out with her oversized sunglasses and that smug air she always carried, phone glued to her ear. She wasn't just bold, she was untouchable. By mid-afternoon, I had a plan forming, not a reckless one, a strategic one. If the official HOA was unreachable, I'd go above them. State records, legal filings, licensing boards, someone had to have paperwork showing this so-called security detail was a fraud. But the moment I sat down to draft a formal complaint, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number, Daniel Reed. A low male voice asked, "Who's this? Consider this your last warning. Stop poking holes where they don't belong. Who is this?" I barked, standing now, my pulse slamming against my ribs. Click, deadline. I stared at the phone. They knew my name. They knew my movements. And they sure as hell knew how to rattle me. That night, I called Tamara, one of the few people left who hadn't crossed the street to avoid me. She sounded hesitant but came over anyway, wrapped in a cardigan and worry. I showed her the notices, the voicemail, even the dashcam footage. "This isn't just about grass or paint colors anymore," I said. "This is organized." She nodded slowly. "I believe you, but everyone's scared. They think if they just pay the fines, they'll be left alone." "That's exactly what she wants," I muttered. "Fear is the business model." Tamara bit her lip. "What if I talk to a few neighbors? Quietly, maybe someone else has proof." It wasn't much, but it was a start. The next few days blurred together. Karen's fake cops kept patrolling. More flyers appeared on doors, and the whispers about me at the bureau turned into formal check-ins. Internal Affairs wasn't saying the word suspension yet, but it was there hanging like a storm cloud. Then came the breakthrough, a late-night email from Alvarez, short, precise, found a discrepancy. The private security outfit dissolved 2 years ago. No legal status. Someone revived their branding illegally. Working theory, Karen's paying them under the table. Need hard proof. I stared at that message for a long time. There it was. The crack in her armor. The next morning, I did something I hadn't dared yet. I walked straight up to the fake cruiser idling at the cul-de-sac. Two men sat inside, sunglasses on, arms crossed. Their car had no state tags, just a magnetic HOA logo slapped on the side. If you enjoyed this neighbor drama and want more real-life inspired stories like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned because the next one might just be about your neighbor.